Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay. I hope my voice is so clear. And I hope you are all doing well and in good healthy and ready to join in the parallel session in the topic of DDR. Before we begin, allow me to inform you of the session guidelines. First, each presenter is allocated 10 minutes in total, including both of presentation and Q&A session. Please manage your time carefully, and participants who wish to ask questions may use the raise hand feature, or you can submit the question in the Zoom chat. So now I would like to invite our first presentation. Mr. Badar Raksa Alam Sampurna SSPD. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is Mr. Badar, okay?
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Can I begin?
Wait a minute, please. I want to. Okay. Mr. Badar, the title is Didactical Design of Mathematics Learning on Trigonometry Rationals.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Okay. Okay, Mr. Badar, the time is yours.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Allow me to present my PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Is the PowerPoint already seen? Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yeah, I can see the PowerPoint.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Badar Raksa Alam Sampurna S. In this occasion, I will present my research about didactical design of mathematical learning on trigonometric ratio. First, this is the background of the study. There is several points. The first is mathematics is very important for everyday life and science, and especially the trigonometry, which is the second point. Trigonometry is a fundamental concept for geometry, calculus, psychic, and engineering. And in real-world context, trigonometry also help in navigation, construction, and entertainment. For example, making animation or game creation. The third point is many students have difficulty understanding the concept of trigonometry. There is also various learning obstacles emerge in which is epistemological, ontological, and didactical. So didactical design is needed to overcome those obstacles. Okay, this is the formulation problem or question research. The first is, what are the didactic obstacles in the grade 10 textbook on trigonometric ratio? Number two is, what are the learning obstacles for students in trigonometric ratio material? And the third is, how a hypothetical learning trajectory to overcome this learning obstacle. And the last is, how a didactical design to overcome learning obstacle. The purpose of this research is to describing didactical obstacle in textbooks, describing the learning obstacle experienced by students, and develop a hypothetical learning trajectory based on learning obstacle. And last is designing a recommended didactic design. Okay, this is several benefit of this research. The first is theoretical benefit. Theoretical benefit is to increase knowledge about learning obstacle experienced by student and didactic design to overcome them. As for practical benefit for teacher is can be considered for creating teaching material for inspiration, or for the other researcher is for the research reference, for reference inspiration. Okay, this is several theory I use in this research. The first one is learning obstacle from Rousseau. It is there are three learning obstacles: ontogenic, epistemological, and didactical obstacle. And there is also hypothetical learning trajectory. In its LT, there is three component, which is objective, activity, and assessment. And didactic design, the definition is learning design to minimize obstacle. I also use tool Praxeology to find didactical obstacle in textbooks. Within Praxeology, there is task, technique, technology, and theory. There is also a relevant theory I use to design my didactical design. Is theory of didactical situation and cognitism and structurism. For research method, in this research I use qualitative DDR. With DDR stage is there is three stages. The first one is initial didactic situation analysis. The second one is meta-pedagogdidactic analysis, and the third one is retrospective analysis. In this research, I only do the first stage, which is initial didactical situation analysis. For the subject, the subject is 30 students in high school in Majalengka, and 7 out of the students will I deep research. Okay. For the instrument, I use descriptive test, interview, documentation, and documentation. For data analysis, I use triangulation. Okay, this is the result of the textbook analysis using Praxeology. There is 2 points, basically 2 points. The first one is in trigonometric ratio, the sine and cosine are given directly without student exploration. So sometimes student is hard to understand. And the second one is basically different from sine and cosine. In the textbooks, the student is more focused on tangan. So the activity role student is limited to tangan. So the sine and cosine is not there is not role of student in sine and cosine. So the two is called didactical obstacle. Okay, for the second is the student learning obstacle. In epistemological obstacle, basically the student is often choose the wrong ratio between sine, cosine, and tangen, and also there are confusion in using identities. For ontogenic, the student is sometimes wrong using wrong sign of trigonometric value in quadrant, whatever it means on positive, or positive, and the most obstacle is the forgetting basic concept. Okay, in this is the hypothetical learning trajectory I designed for overcome the learning obstacle. The first one is begin from the review, like the angle and their side length. Next is understanding the relationship between angle and side length. Next is basic concept of trigonometric ratio and applying trigonometric ratio. Third is recognizing the pattern between the ratio. And next is understanding basic trigonometric identities. And next is applying basic trigonometric identity. After that, the topic is come to understanding the Cartesian coordinate system and angle, and identifying the sign of trigonometric ratio in each quadrant, and determining ratio value in each quadrant. Yeah. As for the didactical design, the didactical design is there are in my design is there are three meetings. The first meeting I will be explain the concept of trigonometric ratio using triangle exploration, and the meeting two is will be used in explaining the trigonometric identity, and meeting three is trigonometric value in quadrant. The model is discovery learning, emphasize exploration, discussion, and reflection. As for the didactical As for the didactical situation of the design didactic is like this. The first meeting, the action situation is student can draw the triangle based on the assignment. And the formulation situation is the student is recognize fill in the table. This is for the validation situation. Comparing the result of from different groups and in different graphs. And this is the institutional situation. The teacher will make the generalization of the after the discussion. Okay, this is for the meeting three. The meeting two. The action situation is the student observe a right triangle with side measuring 3, 4, and 5 centimeter, and they asked to calculate the sine and cosine and then the sum of their square root. The formulation situation, student can begin to record and calculate the value. In the validation situation, student try to prove the generality identity using Pythagorean. And the institutional is the teacher give example conceptual question involving identity and to strengthen the understanding. Okay. For the meeting three, the action situation is student draw a unit cycle and mark the angle and determine the coordinate of the point and their quadrant. For the formulation, student record the coordinate and fill in the table sin, sine, cosine, and tangent. For the validation situation, the student compare the sin, cosine, and tangent value in different quadrant. For the last, the institutional situation, the teacher if the institutionalize the concept of reference of angle and the use of trigonometric sign based on quadrant. Okay, so the conclusion is the textbook contains several didactical obstacles, which is sine and cosine and are given directly without student exploration, and student active role is limited to tangent. As for the student experience learning obstacle, there are two learning obstacle, epistemological and ontogenic. It is wrong choice of ratio, whatever it cosine, sine, or tangent, or confusion in using identity, and wrong sign of trigonometric value in quadrant. And the most learning obstacle is forgetting basic concept. So the hypothetical learning trajectory is structured to overcome those obstacles. And the didactical design is using discovery learning to help the student. And the suggestion of this research is maybe the teacher can use the didactic for inspiration to design their own didactic design, or for researcher is maybe to test the design more widely and continue the development. Okay, maybe that's all for me. Thank you for the attention.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Badar, for the insightful presentation. Let us to open the discussion. Participant who wish to ask a question can raise hand or submit the question in the Zoom chat. Please. Okay. I think this is clear, but I curious about the. Can I ask a question, Mr. Badar?
Okay.
Okay. How did classroom implementation influence revision of the design?
Sorry, can you repeat? What?
How did classroom implementation influence revision of the design? Maybe in yeah.
Because for the research I do, there is no implementation of the design didactic I design. So there is no, I do not do implementation of the design to the student, to the classroom. So I
Oh,
don't
you
do
didn't
the,
implementation in class?
yes, no,
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. This is clear, yeah.
yes.
Anyone want to ask a question? Okay, maybe enough. Thank you very much, Mr. Badar, for your presentation.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
the next, I would like to invite the second presenter. The paper entitled is Dialectical Design Based on Learning Obstacle in Trigonometry Material Related to Mathematical Reasoning Abilities. The presenter is Muhammad Afif Taqiyuddin SPD. Okay, are you ready, Mr. Afif? Okay, the time is yours.
Thank you, moderator, for the chance to present my paper. First of all, allow me to share my screen. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Afif Taqiyuddin, and I am a master student in UPI. For this session, I will talk about my research with the title of Didactical Design Based on Learning Obstacle in Trigonometry Material Related to Mathematical Reasoning Abilities. For the background of this research, it is background by student difficulty in the trigonometry material. And this student difficulty indicates students have low mathematical reasoning abilities. And these difficulties is caused by a learning obstacle. So to minimize the learning obstacle, we can make the didactical design to minimize the learning obstacle. For the research gap, the previous research has been talking about trigonometry learning obstacle in trigonometry, but there is no research that related the learning obstacle in trigonometry and mathematical reasoning abilities.
I'm sorry, Mr. Afif, I cut the
Yeah.
presentation because this is PowerPoint is stuck in the one slide one.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Does the presentation working? Yeah. Okay, thank you, moderator. For the research question, the first research question is, how is the mathematical reasoning ability of high school student on trigonometric material? And for the second one is, what are the learning obstacle experienced by high school student in their mathematical reasoning skill in trigonometric material? And for the third one is, what is the hypothetical didactical design for learning trigonometric material? For the research method, the research design is using didactical design research, and the research subject is student class 11 of senior high school. And the research instrument is non-test instrument, documentation, and in-depth interview. The test instrument is a respondent ability test based on 5 mathematical reasoning indicator. For the mathematical reasoning indicator that used in this research is a mathematical reasoning indicator by Nurjana from 2007. For the data analysis, there is a TKR data analysis or respondent ability test analysis, interview data analysis, and document data analysis. For the research result and discussion, we can look at these two tables. For the student mathematical reasoning ability, we can look at this table and say that student have a low mathematical reasoning ability. It can be shown by the student who meet the indicator for the indicator of finding a pattern of mathematics problem. No student from this research can find the pattern of mathematics problem. And the rank of mathematical reasoning ability for the 31 student, there is 0 student that have high rank of mathematical reasoning ability, and 9 with medium, and 22 with low rank of mathematical reasoning ability. So for the average, we can say that student have low reasoning mathematical reasoning. For the learning obstacle, there is 4 learning obstacle that has been identified. The first one is psychological ontogenic obstacle. That is lack of student motivation to learn and work on math problem. And then conceptual ontogenic obstacle. That is student still doesn't understand the concept of trigonometric ratios in Cartesian coordinate. It is caused by concept of Cartesian coordinate that student still doesn't understand. For the didactical obstacle, there is a jump in material which cause student to not know when trigonometric ratios will be same, and the learning carried on trigonometric ratio material in various quadrant doesn't emphasize understanding the concept, which cause student to not understand the concept. For the epistemological obstacle, it is
Sorry, Mr. Afif.
Yeah.
In my Zoom, the PowerPoint is
Present,
still stuck in.
still stuck.
Okay,
Okay.
maybe I can help you to share the screen. I don't
Yeah.
know about
Wait,
how about
maybe I will restart and it will.
And also from social science, from sociology. Right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm cut the presentation.
Yes, okay. So
Mister.
Yeah.
And
Thank
yeah,
you.
can you slide so? Nah, okay.
Yeah. Does the presentation working
yes,
now?
Yeah, this is working.
Okay. For the hypothetical deductive design is based by these 5. It is designed for the formatting. And the first learning trajectory is recalling requisite material related to angles and Cartesian coordinates, and then finding and understanding the definition of trigonometric ratio. Next one is finding and understanding the relationship between angles and side length of a right triangle, and then find and able to determine the value of trigonometric ratios at special angles, and find and able to determine the value of trigonometric ratios in various quadrants. For the conclusion, the students still have slow reasoning abilities. And then for the second question, it is identified learning obstacle consists of psychological ontogenic obstacle, conceptual ontogenic obstacle, didactic obstacle, and epistemological obstacle. And for the third question, the didactic design was developed based on identified learning obstacle and hypothetical learning trajectory that have been created. For the recommendation, for the prospective educator, it is recommended that student practice a variety of problem during the learning process to train their reasoning skill. Furthermore, students should be accustomed to discovering concept so they can develop a stronger understanding of the concept. And for the researcher, this study only reached the stage of prospective analysis. So for the research, it should be 3 stages instead of just 1. Thank you everyone for your attention. So I return back to the moderator.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Afif. I'm sorry because I'm cut your presentation. Okay, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, we open the discussion again about the Mr. Afif presentation. Maybe you can ask with the raise hand or in the Zoom chat, please. Any question? If no one to ask a question, maybe I want to ask a question to Mr. Afif. Can I? Okay. Maybe the question is, what is the connection between this obstacle and students' mathematical reasoning processes?
For the connection, it is
Yeah.
wait. We can look at this table in the left. We
Yeah.
can look at that student have a problem on finding the pattern of mathematic problem. For the reasoning ability, the indicator that is indicating the mathematical reasoning abilities is the finding pattern of mathematics problem. So we can conclude that mathematical reasoning ability have a connection with student learning obstacle.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for your answer. And maybe I give opportunity to everyone who want to ask a question. Okay, maybe enough. Thank you very much, Mr. Afif. And next, we want to invite the third presenter is Dr. Sani Sahara, MPD, with the title is Fraction, Arithmetic Model from the Anthropological Point of View, Study of the Didactical Situation. Okay. Mr. Sani, the time is yours.
Yeah, Jack, hello. Can you hear my voice?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Please allow me to share my screen. I hope you can see the screen now. Is it okay?
Okay, I can see your PowerPoint.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for the chance, the opportunity. In this session, this time I'm going to be presenting my study with the title of Fractions Arithmetic Model from the anthropological point of view, study of the didactical situations. Good afternoon for everybody. I am Sani. I'm the presenter of this study myself. Firstly, this study was conducted within the DDR framework using both ATD, Anthropological Theory of the Didactic, and the Theory of Didactical Situations. In this paper, we report on the didactic implementation of the specific design in the context of the redefinition and reduction of fraction arithmetic. The intervention was conducted with the group of 6th grade students in Indonesian elementary school. So moving into the background, in our previous study, we learned about institutional relativity, and we found that there are some issues in the learning progress, especially in the reduction as the learning obstacle. On the screen, you can see the examples on how the students are traditionally taught to manipulate fractions using mechanical tasks or trick using the algorithm the formula, the rules to multiply whole number with the denominator to convert into the mixed fractions. And these unjustified dialectical actions often lead to the procedural error, which we can understand as the obstacle of dialectical origin. And then we trace this issue back to the book of which Robert records the ground of art had concern on fractions arithmetic. He highlighted the art of bringing fractions to one denomination is, as the properties of fraction, the unique properties of fraction from the whole arithmetic begin. But due to the lack of foundation in unit fractions, we can see that students experience severe the whole number bias. I can see the whole number bias and struggle to transform the experience with whole numbers into fractions. Therefore, we conjectured that the nature of fraction arithmetic should be based on how the fractions itself is manipulated, rather than maybe forcing arithmetical tricks or formula or whatsoever. And then moving to the theoretical foundation, here we analyze the mathematical activities and justify the actions implemented to our students using the anthropological theory of the dialectic. There are 2 or maybe 4 main elements, which is grouped into 2 groups. The first one is praxis block, and the second is logos block. The praxis block denoted by here is P. There are the T and tau, and then for the logos block, the theta, which represent the type of task, the technique, and then technology and theory. So, and then for the methodological approach, we choose the DDR framework with the position is at the intersection of 2 paradigms. That is the interpretive and the critical paradigm. On the one hand, we run the hermeneutic phenomenological study, which we seek, we investigate, and we interpret the experience of the participants as a phenomena, just like what we learned from the previous session with Prof. Didi from the Immanuel Kant, and more specifically as the phenomena situated within the didactical system within the classroom. And then on the other hand, we also study the characteristic of the prospective research which I addressed in the previous research, and then now we are in the metapedidactic analysis. So the interpretive and critical paradigms here constitute the epistemological foundation in the didactical design research framework. We can see the whole process in the image or the figure in the screen. We still use the term HLT as the design, and then we address our didactical stance. We develop the referent epistemological model as the final result of the study. And then after that, we also structured our classroom activities using TDS by Prusso. And then, that the situation consists of situation of action, formulation, and validation. And finally, we learn the students' experience from that. And now we move into the discussion of the theoretical contribution, which is the reference epistemological model. Here we can see that we encounter the dilemma of multiple representation, which is sometimes obscure the formal mathematical definition. So here instead our the reference epistemological model established the unit fraction, as we can see the symbol is the U with the hat over it as the foundation axiom. we can see that the unit fraction, the U, perform as the main or the foundational axiom here, and then we deduce all the following process. But we can see in the flow chart that the fraction arithmetic problem is the problem basically come from the systematically or the epistemical or systemic approach. So we address the epistemic and systemic approach here in this frame. We can see that the reduction by Robert records is the main problem here. So we anticipate that by defining the tau r within our practical framework, when the task is begin with determinators, thirds or fourths, the student did not simply resort to memorize the tricks, but they engage in the physical action. So we introduce all the object here. We introduce the U hat as the unit fraction. We define addition as the alpha A, and then the operation of alpha S as subtraction, alpha D as division, and alpha M as multiplication. And then we got the result here. That is the empirical findings from our classroom activities. That, as stated earlier, our study established the unit fraction. The U hat performs here as the main object performed by the students. They cut the paper strips and then put it into the activities. And then by that activities, that construction of the fraction, we now perform the stage of arithmetic operation without any tricks or any pedagogical interference. I mean, the learning obstacle of reduction. And then we furthermore, we also seen that the partitioning of the paper stripes perform as the reason to anticipate the previous epistemological obsession, that is the reduction. So we introduce all the activities that the addition by the reference epistemological model, and then perform into different denominators. From that, we move into the subtraction, and then finally into the multiplication and division. We can also see the examples here that in the figure C, we can see that students finally learn that the 2/4 is equal to 1/2. That the blue stripes are equals to that one black strip in the below. And then for the last topic in the reduction, finally we see that students finally resolve the problem of different denominators by reducing the units by cutting more into the smaller units, such as turning thirds into fourth or 12th or 6th, and so on. And then finally, we see that the findings demonstrate that one student master the unit fraction U hat, and then they can apply the deduction method, the logic, the axiomatic process of mathematics to solve the proper fractions, the improper fractions, and mixed number arithmetic without any different rules. So one rule for all. Then, as our concluding thought, we see that this study confirmed that using the U hat as the foundational axiom can effectively resolve the traditional whole number bias and the learning obstacle using the deductive logical framework. And then, while also the physical activities, if this is the limitation of the study, while the physical activities successfully establish the meaning of unit, we can also see that the future designs must also include explicit verbalization and also connect to the other relevant fractional or rational numbers such as decimal and percent. And therefore, by that conclusion, I end this presentation. and welcome any questions that you may have. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I give back to the moderator. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the insightful presentation about the fraction in arithmetic model. Okay, this is the Mr. Dilham raise hand. Please, Mr. Dilham, can you share your question?
Okay, thank you very much, Bu Nadia, for the opportunity. It's a very interesting presentation. So I would like to ask some question, Mr. Sani. So our research a little bit similar. I learned about algebra and you focus on arithmetic. Actually, I little bit confused regarding the fraction. For your information, in linear equations in secondary schools, after linear equation materials, it's the textbooks continue with the what we call perbandingan ratio. So I will ask you, you developed the reference epistemological model for fraction. So is a ratio considered as a part of a fraction? So I'm confused in my analysis because after the equations, it's always explained a fraction. So I mean, those is fraction, as you know that fraction always have numerator or and denominator. But if it's a ratio, it is same as fraction or not? Maybe it's my question. Is it in your reference epistemological model? Thank you.
My answer directly. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Dilham. What a good question actually. So I learned the fraction as the scholarly knowledge back when I firstly studied my topic of fraction, that there are several representations of fraction when we firstly define what fraction is. They are studied by, if I'm not mistaken, the author is a lecturer from one of the university in America, the W. Fu, if I'm not mistaken. He or she presented the fractions specifically in textbooks as a lot of representation that also happen in our textbooks as well. We learned back in our school that fraction was a part of a whole. We also learned that fraction is a division. We learn fraction as a ratio. We learn fraction as maybe one number over another, just like that. So that multi-representation is what I address to be the main focus, that because we cannot give the students all of the representation without any justification, and otherwise the student will just be confused. That is what I have also studied, that all students are confused what fraction is actually. Is it division? Is it ratio or not? But when I put unit fractions here, my reference was from the Robert Ricords, the classical mathematicians from 1543, that he explicitly defined fractions as when we divide one unit into several parts of the same size or the same length or whatever it is. Fraction is the number of that parts. So what I can say that maybe further we can also use the multi-representation of fraction in linear equation, in ratio, in anything like that. But the first thing we need to maybe teach student is fraction as how it is in mathematical definitions, because it is very important. After that, we can move to fraction as division, because it is also connected. We can also move fraction into the number itself, in the number line or anything. We can also teach fraction as a ratio, because it's also connected concept. But firstly, what I have to maybe focus here is fraction as the number of the same length of the parts. That is my question, maybe. Yeah.
So very engaged discussion about the fraction. Maybe a little addition. I interest the fraction. I found the fraction is have 5 subcontract. There is a part whole, quotient, measure, and ratio and operators. Maybe Mr. Sahara only focus in part whole, right? Or not?
Yeah, my focus is the basic definition of fraction. I mean, the first that this main concept of fraction can be further maybe extended to the other conception, but my first focus is the first definition of fractions.
Oh, sure. Okay. How, Mr. Dihang? This is clear?
Thank you.
Any
I just
question?
want to list a little question.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Is
Sure.
your reference epistemological model what we call? Are you redefine your reference epistemological model? Before you said that you see the basic definition, so you give this definition to the students. Just one focus or part of all, not the 5 type of the question, five type of the fraction to
Yeah.
When we develop the didactic design.
Yeah, I focus my first focus in the first definition of fraction because when I built this RAM, the reference epistemological, I mean we have to focus for at least, I mean, not only the scholarly knowledge but also the didactical system, and then the what I can say, maybe the literature or the current study. So there are also cases in the classroom that has issues with the other definitions. There are issues with I can see premature definition of fractions. We cannot start with ratio. Maybe we can start with ratio, but there are a lot of consequences. So what I learned that is the best way for me to start the fraction is by using the very first definition that is part of the unit, and then with that one axiom of the unit fractions, we can move that into all of the fraction concepts. Maybe something like that.
Thank you, I understood.
Yeah, maybe if
Thank you.
you still have a question, you can contact the Mr. Sani Sahara, Mr. Briham. Okay, thank you very much for the discussion. And then we move to the next presenter.
Maybe we can conclude this session of your presentation. Please give applause to Ms. Bien.
The next presenter is Mr. Herizal. The title is Didactic Transposition of the Concept of Transversal. Okay, Mr. Herizal, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Is my voice is clear?
Yeah, the voice is clear.
Okay, I will share my presentation first. Where is it? Okay. Okay, is it work?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon for all the participants. Thanks for the opportunity. Today, I would like to present part of my research about didactic transposition of the concept of transversal. For the first, we know that transversal is a fundamental object in Euclidean geometry, and also it is particularly in the study of angle relationships and parallel lines. And in the teaching institution, for example, in pre-service mathematics teacher education, This concept was introduced through didactic transposition, the notion from Yves Chevallard, transforming scholarly mathematical knowledge into knowledge to be taught and taught knowledge. This is the figure on the screen is the didactic transposition process by Chevallard. And then this transformation involves epistemological choice that may modify the structure and meaning of the concept. Then, okay, within the anthropological theory of the didactic, such transformation can be examined through the analysis of praxeological organization. And then the first postulate in HED said that any human activity can be modeled as a praxeology. Yeah, there are the know-how and the know-why. As the previous presenter explained about the praxeology, there are two blocks, praxis block and logos block. And for praxis block, there are type of task, technique, and for logos block, there is technique, there are technology and theory. And the textbook and or the teaching materials are the product of human activity, so they can be analyzed using praxeology. And the objective of the study is to analyze the transposition of the concept of transversal from scholarly knowledge to knowledge to be taught. It is like external didactic transposition. And for research question, how was the concept of transversal transposed from scholarly knowledge into knowledge to be taught? This is the research praxeology for this study. I tried to make a praxeology for this study, this type of task, analyzing the didactic transposition of the concept of transversal from scholarly knowledge to knowledge to be taught, and the techniques. The first is studying the scholarly knowledge of transversal, then constructing a referent epistemological model as a tool analysis, and then constructing praxeological organization of the textbook, and the last, comparing the praxeologies relating to the concept of transversal in the two institutions. And for technology, as I explained before, that mathematical knowledge can be modeled as praxeological organization, and reference epistemological model make explicit the logos components. And the theory for this all grounded of this step is the anthropological theory of the didactics. And the research design, this is qualitative study, focus on the concept of transversal in both scholarly knowledge and knowledge to be taught, and then theoretical lens, HED with praxeological components, and the data and context analysis. The data consists of textbook used in a plain geometry course. The course is part of pre-service mathematics teacher education program at a university in Aceh. And the textbook is used as the main instructional resource in the course. And the textbook is analyzed as an institutional artifact supporting the knowledge to be taught. So what is the result? The first, I tried to find the logos block of transversal in scholar knowledge. Maybe it can describe as a reference epistemological model for this study. In geometry textbook close to scholarly knowledge, the term of transversal included in the beginning of this chapter of parallelism. It is subtopic of the concept of angles formed by a transversal. From the figure, we can see that to learn the concept of angle formed by a transversal, the first subconcept is transversal, and then interior and exterior angles, and at the end, the topics is about spatial angle, spatial pair of angle formed when any two lines intersected by a transversal, like corresponding angle, and then alternate interior angle and another angles. And then what is the definition of transversal? There is at least I found two type of definition. The first is a line intersect any two line in two different points, and for the second one, a transversal is a line that intersect two or more other line at different points, and all lines lie in the same plane. This is the difference between the first and the second definition. Thus, when two lines are intersected by a third line, the third line will be a transversal if it meets two conditions. The first, the line intersect two other line, and the intersection occur at two different points. In the context of plane geometry, the coplanarity condition can be assumed implicitly and thus need not to be stated explicitly. But in general geometry, the coplanarity, that's all lines can lie in the same plane, I think it must be included in the definition. So in the figure, we can see that the first figure, line R is a transversal, and because it intersect line P and Q at two different points. And for the second picture, line L is not transversal because it intersect M and N line at the one point or at the same point. And what is the role of transversal? Transversal function as a mediating geometric concept between two lines and the angles formed, and it's also to organize angle relationships, like I said before. And then it connects local angle configurations to global properties of line, especially in of the parallelism. Thus, transversal serves as a structuring concept, not merely a descriptive line. So how about in the textbook used in the teaching? The topic began with the relationship between two lines, leading to the definition of parallel line. It then introduced theorems on the condition for parallelism based on special angle pairs formed when two lines are intersected by a third line. And the converse theorem and the last is about the uniqueness of perpendicularity and transitivity. We can see the chart in the slide. But to examine how the concept of transversal appears in the textbook, we present just only two tasks. The first task is we found in the textbooks is defining parallel line. And the second one, investigating the conditions for the parallelism of two lines. This is the praxeological organization of textbook for the first and the second topics. From the table, we can see that no task dedicated to define or conceptualizing transversal as a mathematical object, and the term transversal does not appear explicitly. And then the term transversal replaced by the expression of a third line. And the third line in the textbook function merely as an operational tool used to generate angle configuration. The notion of transversal is absent as a mathematical object, as a mathematical concept, and is replaced by the descriptive expression third line, which function as only a procedural tool. This is the comparison, the concept of the transversal. In the scholarly knowledge, the concept of transversal is mathematics concept, and then for in the textbook, just procedural notions. So what is the key contrast? In scholarly knowledge, transversal is conceptualized, and in the textbook, it is recognized visually. So the didactic implication, the textbook prioritizes accessibility while reducing the epistemic status of a transversal as a mathematical object. And the last, I try to conclude a potential learning obstacle. This just potential, not actually learning obstacle, because the actual learning obstacle we can identify when we try to interview the student or by test. What is the potential learning obstacle? First is when transversal is not explicitly defined as a mathematical object, student may fail to develop a conceptual understanding of its role in geometry, and students may perceive the third line as an additional component rather than a conceptually defined line possible for forming specific angle relationship. This in the last line, this is like a disclaimer that this potential obstacle do not stem from learners' cognitive limitation, but from the epistemological structure of the knowledge to be taught, in which transversal loses its status as a meaningful mathematical object. And this is the conclusion. For the key finding, the notion of transversal is absent in textbook and replaced by the term third line. And the notion of transversal undergoes an epistemological transformation in a didactic transposition process. Maybe we can say epistemological reduction. And this transformation creates condition for potential epistemological learning obstacle. And what is the implication of this study? The concept of transversal should be explicitly, I think, introduced as a mathematical object in textbook, especially for especially the textbook for a presence-based mathematics teacher. And for future research, extend the analysis to classroom teaching and student learn knowledge, and then compare the transposition of transversal across different textbook. I think that's all.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Herizal, for the interesting presentation. So we are now open the discussion session. Maybe any question? Okay. If anyone no question, I want to ask a question, Mr. Herizal. Follow me. Okay, the question is, how did the transposition process influence students' conceptual understanding?
Pardon? In student conceptual understanding?
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said that this transposition is this process also just study the transposition of scholar knowledge to knowledge method. So this study doesn't examine the student learn knowledge. That's why in the learning obstacle, I say that potential learning obstacle, not actually learning obstacle, because the study just examine or investigate how the transversal in scholar knowledge and how the transversal in knowledge method, especially in textbook used in the teaching. Maybe that's why I recommend to the future research to investigate how the student learn knowledge affect by using the textbook. Maybe it is the next study.
Okay, very interested. Thank you very much for the answer, Mr. Herizal. The next is the last presenter, Mrs. Rosa Yevisa, with the title is Praxeological Analysis of High School Student Trigonometry Problem Solving Ability Based on Initial Mathematics Ability. Okay, Mrs. Rosa, the time is yours.
Okay, thanks to moderator. Allow me to share my screen. Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see.
This time I would like to present my research paper entitled Praxeological Analysis of High School Students Trigonometry Problem Solving Ability Based on Initial Mathematics Ability. Introduction. The development of technology and science demands problem-solving skills and high-order thinking. These abilities help individuals adapt, innovate, and make informed decisions in increasingly complex world. Problem solving is a systematic and database thinking skill. Problem solving skills are an individual's ability to think systematically and based on data in effort to identify long-term solutions, to log various alternatives before choosing the right solution, and continually to learn through evaluation. In mathematics, problem solving requires an understanding of concepts and strategies, including high-order abilities that involve cognitive. A math problem is a situation in which students are unable to solve the problem given. Math problems can be solved easily, as they require solution steps through conceptual understanding, reasoning skill, and the use of appropriate strategies. One of the main objectives of mathematics education emphasized by NCPM is the development of problem-solving skills. This explanation shows that problem-solving skills in mathematics learning are very important, as is the role of mathematics learning for students in Indonesia. The role of mathematics learning. The main objective of mathematics learning is problem solving. This will prepare students to face problems in real life. Effort to improve problem solving skills through mathematics learning continue to be made. This learning is not only directed at solving mathematical problems, but it also expects to equip students to deal with various real life problems in their daily life. Internal and external factors greatly influence the development of students' cognitive abilities. There are many factors that cause students to have difficulty solving math problems, both internal and external, such as motivation to learn, learning style, cognitive ability, anxiety level, environment, and others. Difficulties are often encountered when students try to understand problems and devise strategies. Previous research has found that many students are unable to set the mark problem given to them. Various factors indicate the cause of this phenomenon, but the most common is the varying levels of student ability. According to Polia's problem-solving steps, this can happen because many students still have difficulty understanding the context of the problem given, and then make mistakes in deciding this solve it. In the problem-solving process, these two traits greatly influence the outcome because they form the foundation for finding the right solution. This principle is that in order to solve the problem correctly, students must first understand what is actually being asked. Analyze and theoretical approach. The abilities of students in the class were found to vary and need to be developed. The lack of challenging questions affects students' abilities, not to mention internal factors such as learning motivation, anxiety levels, cognitive abilities, and others. This is the theory of anthropological didactic with an epistemological model, also known as praxeology, can assist in the analysis of knowledge, because praxeology is close related to specific knowledge and practice of human. Praxeology consists of two blocks: the practical block, praxis, and the knowledge block, blocks. This is the praxeology block, which is consists of two parts, logos and praxis. The logos block consists of theory and technology. Then the praxis block consists of technique and type of tasks. Theory as a general concept or principle in mathematics used to justify or support various applied technologies. In analysis, the praxeological model serves as an epistemological reference that concisely and structurally describe the role of each component in praxeology. Then technology include the reasoning, explanation, or rationale behind the use of specific technique when students seek solution, such as teaching aids, learning media, and other visual forms. Then technique refers to action that are directly related to the specific type of task at hand, or in other words, the technique used to method or strategies for complete the given task. And type of task refers to the form of question or specific problem that students must solve, whether they are provided in textbook or other source. Discussion. First, students' initial mathematics abilities play a very important role in influencing how they solve the problem given. Second, through the praxeology model, specifically the praxis block, the study will describe high school students' mathematical problem-solving abilities by reviewing their initial abilities when solving trigonometric problem. This is the type of task that is test. There are two questions. The first question discuss ordinary trigonometric ratio. This is a ladder leaning against a wall and forming an angle. The question asks how tall the ladder is. The second question discuss the application of trigonometric ratio in real life, including angles of elevation. Mathematical praxeology question 1. Component type of task description determining the height of the wall reached by the ladder based on the length of the ladder of the angle and the angle to the ground. Technique using trigonometric ratios, sin, theta, tall, ladder length. Calculation tall, sine 60 degree. Technology explanation, why is sine used? Because 16 degree is the angle between the ladder and ground. So the side we are looking for is the side opposite the angle. And then theory, basic trigonometry theory for right angle, sine, cosine, tangent, definition of trigonometric function and the concept of the right angle in context to real object. Later word. Then mathematical praxeology question 2. Component type of task determine the width of a river using two elevation angle measurement from two different points. Technique. First, suppose the width in the river. Then from point P, next from point R, substitute complete for it. And then technology explanation of why tangent are used. The angle of elevation from the angle with the ground horizontal as the base and the height of the cliff as the front side. Using two equations from 2 points allow the elimination of height variable and the determination of the width of the river. And then theory. Trigonometric theory of elevation and depression angle, geometric model of indirect distance mapping, rational linear equation theory, and the principle of right angle triangle relationship in the context of indirect measure. Then epistemological model. The explanation of the epistemological model show the equation 1 and 2 are part of the concept of comparison, basic trigonometry, elevation, and depression. The theory component is a general concept that justifies technology, and the technology component is used to sign trigonometric comparison, which justify the engineering component. The process for identifying technique in each question involves research testing solution as an approach to obtaining result from question in each type of task. Based on this two problem to obtain the design measurement, but the height of the wall is reached by the end of the ladder and the width of the river that cannot be measured directly. It is necessary to use trigonometric relationship in right angle triangles. The solution is carried out by combining the known angle and side length information. Then, applying trigonometric function such as sine or tangent according to context of the relationship between the sides in each problem. The technical form in tables 2 and 3 is the solution procedure used in both problems, namely modeling real situation into right angle triangles and using trigonometric function as a mathematical approach to obtain solution. The technology accompanying this technique explain the reason for selecting specific trigonometric function according to the geometric structure of the problem encountered. This is a result of the initial mathematics ability test. The following are the result of student group based on their initial mathematics ability levels, high, medium, and low. High initial mathematics ability in determining the solution strategy, students correctly selects the tangent function by considering the relationship between the angle of elevation, cliff height, and horizontal distance. The selection of this concept shows that students' conceptual knowledge has been internalized and used effectively to develop solution technique. In addition to procedural accuracy, students are also able to provide rational justification for the steps used, include the reason for choosing tangents and consistently of the result of with the physical context. This ability confirms that the solution process is not carried out mechanically, but rather through directed mathematical reasoning. Overall, high level students activate all components of praxeology completely and consistently. From an epistemological perspective, they are demonstrate a strong integration of conceptual and procedural knowledge and reasoning skill, resulting in solutions that are accurate, logical, and mathematical unquotable. Next, medium initial mathematical ability. Students with average initial math skill generally understand the ladder problem from rectangle. And they can identify that the height of the wall is the side opposite the 60-degree angle. Thus, students know that the relevant trigonometric function is fine. However, even though the basic concept has been understood, students at this level often make procedural errors, such as incorrectly writing the value of sin 60 degree, performing algebraic operation incorrectly, or making incorrect value substitutions. The error that arise do not stem from a lack of understanding of the concept, but rather from limitation in the appreciation of mathematical manipulation. They are able to choose the appropriate technique, but are not yet fully consistent in applying the procedure. Understanding of technology, the reason for using sign are generally sufficient, but they are not yet able to provide in-depth explanation. Epistemologically, students demonstrate correct conceptual understanding, but their procedural mastery is not yet stable. Discourse answer to often be close to correct, but not quite right. Next, low initial mathematical ability. Of the two questions given, none of this group was able to solve them correctly, and some did not even understand the context of the problems. Students in the low initial mathematical ability category showed a significant tendency to have difficulty understanding to the context of question and applying the relevant trigonometric concepts. In question 1 and 2, the pattern of error that emerged was not only at the level of calculation technique, but also at a more fundamental epistemological level, namely the inability to understand the structure of the relationship between quantities and in a triangle. In solving problem 1, my students with low initial mathematical ability were unable to determine the correct trigonometric ratio. Most did not recognize that the 60-degree angles was related to the front side wall height and the sloping side ladder length. As a result, they often use irrelevant formulas, such as directly applying the Pythagorean theorem without complete information. This epistemological error indicates that students don't yet understand the basic definition of trigonometric function and are not yet able to map elements of a figure in mathematical representation. Conclusion: the result of praxeological analysis show that students with high and moderate initial mathematical abilities have fulfilled the epistemological model reference more than students with low initial mathematical abilities. Students in high initial mathematical ability category have technique for solve the problem given in accordance with the epistemological model reference. From a praxeological analysis perspective, most students are also unable to apply the appropriate technique, cannot explain the reason for using this technique, and demonstrate an inadequate understanding of the theory. This finding indicate that mastery of basic trigonometry concept and the ability to construct mathematical models remain major obstacle. So learning needs to emphasize visualization, triangle modeling, and strengthening to the interconnection between technique, technology, and theory to improve students' problem-solving abilities. Meanwhile, for students with low initial mathematical ability, the technical components for solving problems in the epistemological model reference don't exist. That's all for me. Thanks you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much for Mrs. Rosa for the presentation. I'm sorry because the time is up. So no Q&A session. I'm sorry. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we must end the parallel session today about the didactical design research. Thank you to all presenter and participant for your valuable contribution. And I hope we can see in the next event, inshallah. Apologize for myself in the 4 days. Maybe enough. I think. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih semuanya.
Terima
Ya,
kasih, Bu.
sama-sama.